Then why is it so dangerous?
Because I don't really know what it is.
Double Rainboom. This is perhaps the most anticipated fan animation to come out of the Brony community yet. I mean, getting permission from Hasbro, having an army of talent behind it, Zachary Rich crowing about the quality. Really, this should be the greatest fan work in the history of fan works. I probably wouldn't have reviewed this if there wasn't so much fanfare regarding this. In fact, there are two reasons why I hold this to a higher standard than other fan works. The first is all the hype stirred up by Zachary Rich regarding it and all the talent he had amassed to make it. You know, if you're saying that it's going to be good, it better be good. The second is that this was a senior project for an art college, and that means it was being done for a grade and therefore an award for its quality. I'm just going to say that this review is going to be full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen Double Rainboom yet, I suggest watching it first before watching this so you don't get spoiled. With that said, let's review this sucker. I'm going to start with production values since this is what all the hype was about, and fortunately the hype was worth it. The animation Double Rainboom is great. The visual effects of the Double Rainboom and the fiery tread marks in particular were beautiful. I wouldn't call it show quality, but it is the best animation I've seen in a fan work, though with 40 animators, 10 special effects animators, and 27 background artists, the quality is less impressive and more expected. Still, props to the animation crew. The voice talent did a good job, even if they didn't sound like the show's voice talent. The music and sounded great as well. I like the Back to the Future and Jaws references in music especially. The audio and visual aspects of this animation really set the bar for fan works going forward. Note to self, grad DR talent for my project. The weakness of this animation is unfortunately its very foundation, that is, the writing. The story is weak and clearly designed to serve the animation instead of the other way around. The story is Twilight makes a talent-enhancing potion and Rainbow Dash steals it for herself and it makes her fly faster. Rainbow Dash decides to try a double Rainboom which destroys Ponyville and sends her to the Powerpuff Girls universe. After some random meaningless antics, Pinkie Pie creates a literal plot hole to get Rainbow Dash back by using the same potion. After destroying the homes and businesses of her friends and neighbors, Rainbow Dash learns that you shouldn't take stuff that isn't yours. Yeah, I suppose it could have been worse. Instead of referencing Back to the Future with the Double Rainboom, they could have had Rainbow Dash hit Warp 10 and start slowly evolving into an Equestria girl. Although this animation concentrated on Rainbow Dash, it did a real disservice to her character. It was clear this was written in the middle of Season 2, which was really the lowest point for Rainbow Dash. Her acting this egocentric fits with her actions and made the best pet win and Mysterious Ne'er-do-well. However, after Sleepless and Ponyville, and especially the Wonderbolt Academy, it seems like a huge step back. After being willing to give up on her life's dream of becoming a Wonderbolt if it meant putting others in danger, Rainbow Dash doing a double Rainboom just because it's awesome was off-putting. Twilight had a lot of screen time but only played a minor role in this. She was mostly a plot device to get the potion into the story and complain about Rainbow Dash's behavior. Pinkie Pie was a literal plot device, as she showed up very late and only to get Rainbow Dash back to Ponyville, though her contribution was a little more endemic to her character than Twilight's. Fluttershy, Rarity, and Applejack were barely in this with no speaking lines at all. In fact, Derpy was on screen more than any of them. Their screen time was also basically to make them the butts of jokes. I know Twilight, Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie were fan favorites, but they could have written a story that involved all six. I think that the Powerpuff Girls, yes, there was a Powerpuff Girls crossover in this, were a little too mean in this. We're given the impression that they beat up the talking dog, which was irritating to me. The only time I can remember any of them beating up on the talking dog in the show was the episode where Bubbles wanted to prove she was hardcore. However, her beating up the talking dog was supposed to show that she completely lost it, and he was at least impeding traffic in that episode. Here they just beat him up to take out their frustration. In fact, the entire sequence with the Powerpuff Girls never worked for me. It was constantly jarring me out of the experience, and I was sitting there waiting for it to end. Another issue I had with this animation was the padding, and there was a lot of it. Double Rainboom was more than 29 minutes long, but I've already seen people easily edit it down to 22 minutes without disrupting the story simply by thinning out the padding. The beginning scene in the lab in particular could have been half the length it was. When I said that the story serves the animation, it really shows here. There was a lot of exposition that doesn't serve the story, and general padding so the animators could show off, like the explanation of what the potion could do for each pony just so that they could use the simple pony designs. The humor was rather lame and didn't have much wit to it. It was basically brony and internet memes as well as random references. The only humor that seemed to grow out of the story itself was Powerpuff Girls' reaction to Rainbow Dash, which was admittedly quite cute and funny. Well, I have to hand it to the people who made this look and sound beautiful. It was wasted on this story. I think they spent too much time trying to make this awesome and not enough time making it actually work. The best analog I can come up with to describe Double Rainboom is a pimped out car with a broken transmission. It looks cool, but it'll never go anywhere. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Double Rainboom. What are yours?